Good afternoon, children. Today we are going to move with the next chapter. Chapter number 4. It is the tribals, Dikus, and with the vision of a golden age. So let us see what it is about. Right. Today we are going to deal with this chapter. How the tribal people lived during the British era. What are the problems they were facing during the British rule? That we are going to see in this chapter. Here you can see on this picture, you can see here woman of the Dongeria Kandha tribe in Orissa wade through the river on the way to the market. See how they are taking their goods and services, whatever they have produced it in the forest produce, that they are selling in the market, Orissa. In the Orissa, in the local market, they are selling, they are taking their forest produce. Right, women are carrying the forest produce. Now let us see what had happened to these tribal people during the British rule. What problems they have faced. You have seen the problems faced by the kings and the queens. Now let us see what are the problems faced by the people during the British rule. Especially we know, we were the people, farmers and all, you were known. Last chapter you have seen how the farmers have faced, what the farmers faced the problems. Now we will see about the tribal people, what problems they have faced. In 1895, a man named Birsa was seen roaming the forests and villages of Chota Nagpur in Jharkhand. People said he had miraculous powers. He could cure all diseases and multiply grain. So this was the belief of the people, that a person named Birsa, he was roaming in the forests and villages of Chota Nagpur in Jharkhand. People believed that he had miraculous powers, means he had some superpowers which could cure the diseases and which would also multiply the grain. Means if you are produced 1000 kg bags of wheat, then it would multiply to 2000 kg of wheat. Like that people were believing. Let us see, Birsa himself declared that God had appointed him to save his people from trouble, free them from the slavery of Dikus, outsiders. So it was said that this Birsa, he is appointed by the God and he is going to set his people free from the slavery, from the Gulamgiri of whom? From the outsiders, Dikus. Here outsiders were the British. Soon thousands began following Birsa. So after that what happened? There were many followers of the Birsa. Believing that he was a Bhagwan God and had come to solve all their problems. They believed that he was the God, he is like a God and he will solve all their problems. Birsa was born in a family of Mundas, a tribal group that lived in the Chota Nagpur. So where he was born in the family of the Mundas. Mundas means it is a tribal group. The name of that tribal group is Mundas. He was born in that. He lived in the Chota Nagpur, but his followers included other tribals of the region. So his tribal group, it not only included the Mundas people, but also it included some of the tribals of that region, and those were Santhalas and Orans. So Orans and Santhalas, these are also the tribal people. All of them in different ways were unhappy with the changes they were expecting and the problems they were facing under the British rule. So what happened? All of them in the different ways they were unhappy with the British rule. You know, British people, I always call them as the cunning fox people. What they had done, their main aim was to loot the India, increase their wealth, increase their trade, make profits, earn money and destroy the Indians. It is nothing more than that. Right, so what happened? Their familiar ways of life seemed to be disappearing. There was no family for them. The familiar ways, the way in which they were living, all got disappeared because of these people, because of this British greediness. ಐ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಗ್ರೀಡಿನೆಸ್, ಆಶೆ ಬುರುಕ್ತನದಿಂದ, ರೊಕ್ಕ ಗಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಆಶೆ ಬುರುಕ್ತನದಿಂದ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್, ದ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟ್ರೈಬಲ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಗಾಟ್ ರಿಯೂನ್ಡ್. ಪಾಪ ಮುಗ್ಧ ಜನ, ದೇ were not having education also, they were following some rituals and customs and they were leading a very happy and peaceful life. But these people entered the forest also and destroyed their life, right? And their religion appeared to be in danger. Yes, their religion was completely under danger. First they exploited our farmers, our zamindars got, they were also heavily exploited, the village headmen were exploited, all were exploited. After that, now they had moved into the Indian forest also, where they started exploiting the poor tribal people who were leading a very simple and peaceful life. They made their life also ruined. What problems did Birsa set out to resolve? So these are all the things which we are going to learn in the coming topics of the chapter. Who were the outsiders being referred to as Dikus, and how did they enslave the people of the region? What was happening to the tribal people under the British? How did their lives change? There are some of the questions we will read about in this chapter. So we'll get answers to all these questions after reading the topics in these chapters. Let us see now. You have read about the tribal societies last year. Most tribes had customs and rituals that were different from those laid down by the Brahmanas. I told you, the Brahmanas, the priests, they used to chant mantras, they used to do some pujas, some of the, what you can say, some culture, some traditions, they used to do idol worshipping and all. But these people were very simple people, they are uneducated, they were leading a very simple life. They were collecting the food of the forest, they were hunting the animals and they were eating the food, and in this way they were surviving. Some of the forest produce they were selling in the local market and they were getting the food grains and all. They used to purchase the food grains and all, and they used to keep them in their houses, and they used to cook the food and eat it. They were leading a very simple life, happy life. But these Britishers, they went there, they exploited the tribal people, they made their life very disastrous. Let us see now. These societies also did not have sharp social divisions that were characteristic of caste societies. They didn't have any caste divisions and all. Social differences were not there. They were living in one group. There were no economic differences also, because all the people were the tribal people. They were mainly getting something from what? From the tribal produce, from the forest produce. They used to sell it, and by that they used to earn some money, not more money, some money they were earning. All those who belonged to the same tribe thought of themselves as sharing common ties of kinship. Yes, the persons, I told you, they were always living in one group. And how they were all living like brothers and sisters. They had lot of unity in their group. They were all simple people, sharing whatever the things they were hunting, whatever the foods they were getting, they were all together sharing among themselves and they were eating. They were all very simple people. However, this did not mean that there was no social and economic differences within the tribes. This does not mean that their social and economic differences were there, but not as it is there in our areas. Like we have lot of social differences, we'll have lot of economic differences. Social differences, we have different castes in villages, right? Reddy, Lingayats, Marathas, Jats, Sikhs, Hindus, Muslims, like that. There were no so much of the caste differences were not there. And we have classes like middle class, upper middle class, sophisticated class, rich class, poor class. Like this we are having the differences, economic differences are there. But in the tribal areas there were not so much of economic differences. How did the tribal groups live, right? How they were living, what type of life they were leading? Let us see, how did the tribal groups live? By the 19th century, tribal people in different parts of India were involved in a variety of activities. They were doing lot of activities in their particular area. In the tribal area, they were doing lot of activities. So what were the activities, what was their daily schedule, what they are doing? Like how you do morning, you get up at 6 o'clock, you have your do your bath and all, afterwards you have breakfast, you come to school, afterwards after coming after the school, you drink tea, you become fresh, you play for 1 hour, afterwards you sit and you do your studies. This is how you do your activities from morning till night. Like that, what the tribal people were doing in those days. Let us see. We are talking about the 19th century. In the 19th century, how tribal people were living when Britishers were ruling them. Let us see. Some were jhum cultivators. So what they were cultivating? They were cultivating the jhum. Some of them practiced jhum cultivation, that is shifting cultivation. In their language, that cultivation is called as the jhum cultivation, but actually in English it is shifting cultivation. This was done on the patches of land, mostly in forest. In forest, no, they used to take some patches of land. The cultivators cut the tree tops. They were cutting the tree tops, and they were allowing the sunlight to reach the ground. And after that, what they used to do, and burned the vegetation on the land, the creepers, small trees, small plants which were there, no, they used to burn it, which was there on that land. So what happens? They spread the ash from the firing, which contained potash, to fertilize the soil. So what they were doing, what the small plants they were burning, no, that was completely filled with what? Potash. So which would increase, potash means potassium, which would increase the fertility of the soil. So that ash powder, they used to put it on the land. Then to fertilize the soil, they used to put it on the land. They used the axe to cut the trees and hoe to scratch the soil in order to prepare it for cultivation. So what they were using, they were cutting down the big trees, and they used to put the hoe, means they used to just drag the land, just they used to dig the land, that's all. And on that, what they were doing, they broadcast the seeds, that is scattered the seeds on the field, instead of plowing the land and sowing the seeds as our farmers do. They plow the land and then they start sowing the seeds. Here what they were doing, they were just scattering, they were just throwing the seeds all over the land. Once the crop was ready and harvested, they moved to the another field. You know, in the forest, the land is very good, because you are not exposing it to what happens to, you are not cultivating again and again on that land. And you see, there is a lot of rainwater is there. When the rain is coming regularly, the rain comes regularly in the forest areas. So what it brings from the mountains, it brings the fertile soil. From the upside, the fertile soil, it is coming down. So it is the land, the soil is very good. You need not do plowing and all activities not needed, because the soil is very good. If you just scatter the seeds, what happens? You get a very good yield. So after doing harvesting and all, what they used to do, once that everything, the crop was ready, what they used to do, they used to leave that land for which has been cultivated. They used to leave that land and they used to move to the another land. After several years, again back they used to come, and again they used to start the cultivation. This is called as the shifting cultivation. Right, shifting cultivators were found in the hilly and forested tracts of northeast and central India. Shifting cultivation, where they were doing? In the northeast, in the hilly areas. I already told you, in the hilly areas, which contains the fertile soil, very good soil in the hilly areas, and some part of the northeast and the central India, they are doing the shifting cultivation. Means they are shifting. Once the crop is grown and harvested, what they will do, they will move from that land to the another land. They will not do the irrigation again, or they will not do the farming in that same land, but they will move to the another land. Some were hunters, and what happened? The lives of these tribal people depended on free movement within forest and on being able to use the land and forest for growing their crops. So what there was a free movement of the people. They were moving from one place to the another place. They were not sitting in one place, or they were not doing irrigation in one place. They were moving from one place to the another place. There was a free movement. And what happened here? They were using the land and forest. They were using the land as well as they were cutting the forest, and they were using it for growing their crops. That is only where the way they could practice shifting cultivation. So this was the only way they can do the shifting cultivation. They can practice the shifting cultivation. Some were hunters and gatherers. This is very important. How were they? Some were the hunters and gatherers. In many regions, tribal groups lived by hunting animals and gathering forest produce. So what happened? The tribal groups, they have lived themselves by hunting the animals and the gathering the forest produce. They were hunting the animals and they were gathering the forest produce. By this they were surviving. How do we survive? We work, right? Your father works in one office, they are doing the business, and by that they are earning the money, and you are getting, by that money you are all surviving, you are eating your food. But in the tribal groups, how they were surviving? They were hunting the animals which were there in the forest, and they were gathering the forest produce. For example, honey, tulsi, like that, all the forest produce they were eating, which were good. They saw forest, they were eating the honey, they were eating the fruits which are available in the forest, right? So, and some of the leaves which are good in the iron, calcium, those leaves they were eating. By that they were making their survival. The Khonds were such a community living in the forests of Orissa. They regularly went out on collective hunts and then divided the meat among themselves. So what there was a community called the Khonds, like how we have Reddy community, Lingayat community, like that in the tribal people there were Khonds community. What they were doing? They were living in the forests of the Orissa. They regularly went on collective hunts. They used to go for the hunting, and whatever the meat they brought, they used to divide equally among themselves. They ate fruits and roots collected from the forest. I told you they used to eat the roots as well as the fruits, potato, this what you can say, sweet potato, genasu, right? That they were collecting from the forest and they were eating. And they cooked food with the oil they extracted from the seeds of sal and mahua. So these were also the plants which were available, sal and mahua. From that they were they were making the oil, right? They were extracting the oil from these trees, from these plants. They used many forest shrubs and herbs for medicinal purposes. Right, they were using the forests, many of the plants, shrubs and herbs, small plants, in order to, for the medicinal purposes they were using, right? And sold forest produce in the local markets. What they did, they used to sell it in the local market and they used to earn the money. The local weavers and leather workers turned to Khonds when they needed the supplies of kusum and palash flowers to color their clothes and leather. So, right, they were having these Khonds and they were supplying the kusum, which is a plant, right, and palash flowers to color their clothes. Weavers were weavers andre ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಮಾಡೋರು. ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ವಾಂಟ್, ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೈ ದೇರ್ ಕ್ಲೋತ್ಸ್. ಬಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕ್ರಿ, ಕಲರ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಆ ಕಲರ್ಸ್ ಯಾರು ತಂದು ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವರು ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಒಳಗಿರುವಂಥ ಈ ಟ್ರೈಬಲ್ ಪೀಪಲ್, ಖೋಂಡ್ಸ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ, ದೇ ವರ್ ಬ್ರಿಂಗಿಂಗ್ ದ ಕುಸುಮ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪಲಾಶ್ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್. ಆ ಹೂಗಳನ್ನ ತಂದು ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ರಿ. ಆ ಹೂಗಳಿಂದ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು, ಕಲರ್ಸ್ನ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು, ಡೈಸ್ನ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಅದನ್ನು ವೀವರ್ಸ್, ಬಟ್ಟೆ ನೇಕಾರರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ರು ಇನ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಟು ಕಲರ್ ದ ಕ್ಲೋತ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಶೂ ಮೇಕರ್ಸ್, ಲೆದರ್ ಮಾಡೋರು, ರೈಟ್, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ಈ ಕಲರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. From where you can see here in the picture, there is a beautiful picture. Dongriya and Dongriya Khanda woman in Orissa take home pandanus leaves from the forest to make plates. So this pandanus leaves are there that they are taking from the forest. They have removed those leaves, and now they are taking to their home in order to make the plates, right? Leaves plates, patroli plates ಅಂತೀವಿ ನಾವು, ಪತ್ರೋಳಿಗಳು ಮಾಡೋದು ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ಇವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಪತ್ರೋಳಿ. ಫಾರ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಸೇಕ್ ದೇ ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ so much of leaves, they have gathered it and they are going to make the plates. From where did these forest people get their supplies of rice and other grains? So from where did they get all these things? At times they exchanged goods, getting what they needed in turn for their valuable forest produce. So what they were happening, they were exchanging the food grains. The local people were exchanging the food grains for the valuable forest produce. So valuable forest produce means, I told you, honey and this kusum and all polish flowers they were giving. Like that they were giving some of the and roots of the plants, that is the potato, right? Potatoes, and you can see sweet potato. If they give these roots, they were getting the wheat, rice, grains. The local people used to give to the tribal people. Some of them did odd jobs in the villages. So some of them were doing the odd jobs in the villages also, carrying the loads or building the roads. So they were carrying the loads, they were working as hamal, like carrying the loads. And another one is they were working when they were building the roads. That time these people were working, while others labored in the fields of peasants and farmers. So some were working as a peasants, as a farmers. Under the farmers they were working. When supplies of forest produce shrank, tribal people had to increasingly wander around in search of work as laborers. So what happened when there was a shrank in the forest produce, when there was no any production in the forest, that time they were forced to work as the laborers. When the forest is completely destroyed, when the forest is burnt due to some accidents, forest fire if happens, if the forest is burnt, that time they are not having anything. There is no food remaining for them to survive. That time, in order to survive, that time they used to work as the laborers. ಯಾವಾಗ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಖಾಲಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತಿದ್ರಿ, ಅವಾಗ ಏನೂ ಕೆಲಸ ಇರ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವಾಗ ಇವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು, ದೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಕಮ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಇನ್ ದ ವಿಲೇಜಸ್ ಆಸ್ ದ ಲೇಬರರ್ಸ್. ಆಳುಗಳಾಗಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ಸ್ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇವರು ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. But many of them, like the Baigas of central India, were reluctant to do work for others. So what the Baigas were not so much interested to work for the others. The Baigas saw themselves as people of the forest who could only live on the produce of the forest. So Baiga community, they thought that we should not live, or we cannot we cannot do other jobs rather than the tribal things. Whatever the tribal work they are doing, what they were eating the forest produce and they were living on the forest produce only. After that, if that is not there, we cannot do the odd jobs, we cannot do the odd works, we cannot work as the laborers, because it is below the dignity of the Baiga to become a laborer. Here they are thinking that if we work as a laborer, our dignity will come down. We have been living like the king of the forest. Now working as a labor under a person, for them it was a difficult job, and they thought that it is below our dignity. Tribal groups often needed to buy and sell in order to be able to get the goods that were not produced within the locality. So Baiga people, tribal groups often needed, what they were needing, buy and sell in order to get the goods that were not produced. So tribal group often needed what? To buy and sell in order to be able to get the goods that were not produced within the locality. So what happened now? This led to the dependence on traders and the money lenders. So tribal groups were often in need to buy and sell in order to get the goods that they are not producing. They were not producing. They were not producing the food grains, wheat, rice, jowar. They were not producing. For that they had to depend on whom? For the traders. Traders means the people who were ready to buy and sell the goods and services in the locality. This led to their dependence on traders and money lenders. So what happened? They started depending on whom? On the traders and the money lenders. Traders came around with the things for sale and sold the goods at high prices. See here, traders, they were selling the food grains for very high prices. Money lenders gave loans with which the tribals met their cash needs. Money lenders were giving them loans with which they were meeting the cash needs. But the interest charged on the loans was usually very high. They were charging very high rate of interest. Money lenders were not giving money at low rate of interest, but what they were doing, they were charging very high rate of interest to them. So for the tribals, market and commerce often meant debt and poverty. So what happened? Market and commerce for the tribal people, it was just like the debt and poverty. Debt means loan and poverty means the tribal people went on becoming poor and poor. They therefore came to see the money lender and trader as evil outsiders and the cause of their misery. So they started seeing the money lender and the traders as evil outsiders, like ghost. ಭೂತದ ಗತ್ಲೆ ಕಾಣಕತ್ರಿ ಇವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ, because they are the people who used to turn these tribal peoples into poor people, right? Some herded animals. Many tribal groups lived by herding and rearing animals. So how these tribal groups were living? By herding means by taking care of the animals, by rearing the animals. Animals like cattle, buffalo, goat, sheep, they were taking care of, and whatever the milk and milk products are there, they used to sell it in the market. They were pastoralists who moved with their herds of cattle or sheep according to the seasons. They were moving with the cattle, sheep according to the seasons. When the grass in one place was exhausted, they moved to another area. So when the grass got exhausted, they were moving from one place to another place. So ಇವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಿ, ತಮ್ಮ ಶೀಪ್, ಗೋಟ್, ಕ್ಯಾಟಲ್ಸ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ಮೇಸಾಕ ಬಿಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಳುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಖಾಲಿ ಆದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. ದೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಒನ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಟು ದ ಅನದರ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್. Right, the Van Gujars of the Punjab hills and Labadis of the Andhra Pradesh were cattle herders, and the Gadis of Kulu were shepherds, and Bakarwals of Kashmir reared goats. So these are the people who were doing were rearing the animals. Herding and rearing the animals was their occupation, right? You saw the tribal people group was Khonda community, Baijas communities, like that. Here the Van Gujars of the Punjab hills, and they were called the Kurubru. Yari, the Van Gujars. Karnataka we call them as Kurubas. In Punjab hills they were called as Van Gujars. Labadis of Andhra Pradesh. In Andhra Pradesh they called them as Labadis, were cattle herders, and Gadis of Kulu were shepherds. Gadis in Kulu they were calling them as the Gadis, and Bakarwalas of Kashmir reared the goats. So here you can see they were all rearing the different animals. They were taking care of them, and whatever these animals gave them, they used to sell it in the local markets and earn the income for them. A time to hunt, a time to sow, a time to move to a new field. Here you can see this was the life of the tribal people. A time to hunt, a time to sow, a time to move to a new field. Let us see here. Verrier Elwin, a British anthropologist who lived among the Baigas and the Kondas of central India for many years in the 1930s and 1940s, gives us a picture of what this calendar and division of tasks was like. He writes here how they were living, what were their tasks. Task means what work they were doing, and what was their division according to the work. There were division of the work according to their calendar. They had one calendar. In Chayat, women went to clearings to cut stalks that were already reaped. Reaped ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ತೆನಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಂಥ ಇವನ್ನ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಿ ಇನ್ ಚಯಟ್ ಸೀಸನ್. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಸ ಅದಲ್ಲ, ಮಗ ಮಾಸ, Pusha Masa, like that we follow no in Hindu culture. Like that they were having in Chayat, in this month they were cutting the stalks that already leaped. Men cut large trees and go for their ritual hunt. They were cutting the large trees and they were going for the hunting. The hunt began at full noon from the east. So full moon iddaga they used to do the hunting from the east side. Traps of bamboo were used for hunting. So traps of bamboo, they used to keep the bamboo and on that they used to put the grass and all. When the deer came there to eat, it used to fall in the underground. That they used to take and they used to cut it and they used to eat the flesh of that deer. Like that they used some traps in order to make that animals fall in the underground. The woman gathered fruits like sago, tamarind and mushroom. So woman used to gather the fruits like sago, tamarind, hunchi and mushroom. Baiga woman can only gather roots or khanda and mahua seeds. What the Baiga women were doing, they were gathering the roots or khanda. Khanda means the stems, big stems, right? And mahua seeds they were gathering. Of all the Adivasis in central India, the Baigas place, the woman gathered unburnt wood to burn. So what they were doing, they were collecting the unburnt wood to burn that wood, to create the fire and to burn that wood. Right, men continued to hunt but nearer their villages. So men were hunting, but where they were going, near their villages only they were hunting. They were not going far places, but they were hunting near their villages only. In the Jet, sowing took place and hunting still went on. In Jet season, in Jet month, what they used to do? They used to do sowing the seeds, but hunting was still practiced at that time. From Asad to Bhadan, the men worked in the fields. So in this time, men were working in the fields. Instead of hunting, they were working in the fields. In Kaur, the first fruits of beans were ripened, and in Kartik, kutki became ripe. So what happened here? The first beans God was getting ripened, and after that in Kartik, kutki became also ripe. In Aghan, every crop was ready. So in Aghan period, every crop was ready. And in Pas, winnowing took place. Pas was the time for dances and marriage. So in the Pas season, what they were doing in the Pas month, they were all dancing and they were doing the marriages. In Magh, shifts were made to new beavers, and hunting gathering was the main subsistence activity. So in Magh shifts, they were making the new houses were built and hunting gatherings were done. The cycle described above took place in the first year. In the second year, there were more time for hunting and only few crops had to be sown and harvested. So here in the first year, in the first cycle, what they used to do? They used to do lot of work. But in the second year, they had given time only for the hunting and only they were growing few crops. But since there was enough food, the men lived in the beavers. Means they were living in their houses. The houses that they had made in the tribals, they were calling it as the beavers. It was only in the third year that the diet had to be supplemented with the forest products. So in the third year, what they used to do, there was no cropping also. They used to not grow crops also. That time they used to completely depend on the forest produce. Here you can see the picture. A Santhal girl carrying firewood, Bihar, 1946. Here you can see the Santhal girl, means the girl who is belonging to the Santhal community. She is carrying the firewood, Bihar, 1946. Children go with their mothers to forest to gather the forest produce. Here you can see this picture. In this, the girl she has to go with her mother to bring the wood for the fire. They are made to go with their mothers to cut the trees and to bring the wood for the fire. Some took to settled cultivation. So here you can see, even before the 19th century, many from within the tribal groups had begun settling down and cultivating their fields in one place year after year. So what here happened, here tribal groups, they had begun to settle down and they were cultivating the fields in one place year after year. There was a shifting cultivation practiced. I told you, they were not practicing farming in one land, but they used to move from one place to another place year after year. Right? They were not settling themselves in one place. In the forest, they were moving from one place to the another place. Every year they was moving from one place to the another place. They began to use plow and gradually got rights over the land they lived on. So what happened? This slowly started using the plowing machine, plows, in order to plow the land, and they slowly got the rights to live thereon. In many cases, like the Mundas of Chota Nagpur, the land belonged to the clan as a whole. All the members of the clan were regarded as descendants of the original settlers who had first cleared the land. Now these people became the descendants, means they became the citizens of that place and they started living in that place called the Chota Nagpur. Very often some people within the clan acquired more power than the others. So in the clan, means in the group, some people were getting the more powers than the others. Some became the chiefs and other became the followers. I have already told you, it is nothing but the survival of the fittest. In forest, you have the Charles Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest. The one who is strong will become the chiefs and the one who are weak, so they have to become the followers. So you need to be strong always in order to become the leaders. What is the first leader quality? You should be always strong, not only physically strong but mentally also you should be strong. Then only people are going to consider you as a leader. You can see Narendra Modi ji, he is a 75 years old man. How much strong he is. 68 years old. How much strong he is. Even though he is old, at his age you have seen many people not able to walk properly on the road, but he walks kilometers. He does fasting at this age. At this stage, many people are having BP, diabetes, and you have seen he is not having BP or diabetes. He has maintained such a good health. Along that, his brain capacity is able to by the speech what he is going to tell. He never write his speeches. His speeches are never that letters, that what you can say, the papers are not there with him. Without seeing, he is able to deliver the speeches for hours together. You have heard his speeches. It will be hours together with no any paper piece. Right? Everything is there in his mind what he is going to speak. So this is one of the speciality about the Narendra Modi ji. Sometimes he gives the speeches in English. That time also there is no paper material with him. Right? Without seeing only he is doing it. So this is the characteristics of the leaders. Powerful men often rented out their land instead of cultivating it themselves. So powerful men, what they were doing, they have rented the land to the others. Instead of they cultivating themselves, they used to give it on the rent to the others for cultivation. British officials saw settled tribal groups like the Gonds and the Santalas as more civilized than hunter-gatherers or shifting cultivators. So what British officials saw here, that these tribal groups like the Gonds and the Santalas, how they were more civilized, means they were like what we can say, perfect farmers. They were implementing all the agricultural methods what was necessary, like plowing the land, fertilizing the land, sowing the seeds, right, and putting pesticides on it. All these things, they were more civilized, right. And hunter gatherers as compared to the hunter gatherers or shifting cultivators. You have seen shifting cultivators, they were not sowing the seeds, they were not fertilizing the soil, simply they were not plowing the soil, and simply they were doing the irrigation on the open land, they were doing the irrigation. But here you can see these are more civilized compared to the other tribal groups. Those who lived in the forest were considered to be wild and savage. They needed to be settled and civilized. Yes, they were wild and they were uncivilized. They didn't know how to speak these languages and all. They were uncivilized and they were uneducated. They don't know how to talk to the people, how to behave with the people. Sometimes they used to become wild, like the wild animals, they used to become wild, they used to shout on the people. So for that sake, the British officials thought that they should be settled and they should be civilized, because these hunters and food gatherers, they were moving from one place to the another place. They were not settling themselves in one land. So for the British, the main task was to make them settled in one land and make them civilized. This was another challenge for the British. Okay, we'll continue in the next class. Thank you. We will continue in the next class. How did colonial rule affect the tribal lives? We will continue it in the next class.